One of the biggest quarterback names of the last 3 years has been DJ Uiagalelei. He was right there with Bryce Young in the class of 2020, and some believe DJ was the best quarterback in his high school class. During his freshman year, he had an insane start and looked like he was a future Heisman winner. Unfortunately, his next 2 years in a Clemson uniform were a mixed bag, and ultimately, he decided to transfer. He'll now get a chance at another Power 5 school across the country, and will hopefully try to save his NFL dream. Today, we're going to talk about the rise of DJ Uiagalelei, go through his crazy and tumultuous career at Clemson, and why this could also have a huge impact on him and the Oregon State program. But before we get started, quickly be sure to leave a like if you want to support today's video, subscribe if you're new and love college football content, and let me know what player, team, topic, or situation I could cover next. Now, let's get started and talk about DJ Uiagalelei. In order to understand how DJ got to this point, we first need to go back in time. DJ is of Samoan roots, and his dad was a very well-known person in the California area. He was a bodyguard for the likes of Chris Brown, Rihanna, and DJ Khaled, and with his dad being so huge, he would pass on those genes to his son, DJ, who was one of 8 kids. The family was obviously settled in the state of California for his dad's work, and after taking a liking to the quarterback spot in the game of football, DJ was a prized young player in the area. He would arrive in Bellflower, California, and would go to the prestigious St. John Bosco Prep. This is the same school where guys such as Josh Rosen and blue chip recruit Catton Hauser played quarterback. They're also known as one of the top high school football programs in the nation, and when DJ started playing, he was a physical nightmare. As a junior, he would pass for 3,366 yards, 48 touchdowns, and just 7 picks, compared to a 70% completion percentage. He also ran for over 300 yards and 6 touchdowns, while leading the team to a 13-1 record, a state title, and the number 3 overall ranking in high school football. The guy was a winner, a superhuman, and considered elite. Despite still being in high school, Uiagalelei wouldn't look out of place at the NFL Combine. He's already physically developed at 6'4" and 240 pounds, and made great strides as a passer during his sophomore season. This was pretty insane, as he was a high school quarterback who looked like a young NFL player. But where would he end up going? The guy was a 5-star recruit, and his final 3 included Clemson, USC, and Oregon. USC was the big-time school in the area who was known for quarterback talent. Oregon was the sexy school that a lot of big West Coast players like to join, and Clemson was a dominating program on the other side of the country. Everyone kind of knew he was going to go to Clemson, but he'd eventually make it official, choosing the Tigers, saying, quote, "There were a lot of reasons why I chose Clemson. Like I've said before, I felt a spiritual connection with the entire coaching staff, especially with Coach Dabo Swinney when I first visited back in June." DJ was not new to Clemson though, as his first visit would be for the Dabo Swinney camp, and Clemson would officially offer him. Not only was he a star football player, but he was also going to try to play baseball at Clemson. He was an MLB prospect as he had a 95-mile-per-hour fastball, but I guess when you get to college you have to pick one sport, and his future was obviously football. He was a part of a very special Clemson class, and he was a huge deal. According to 24/7 Sports, he was a 5-star talent, the #1 pro-style quarterback, and the 10th best player in the class of 2020. The only quarterback ranked higher than him was Bryce Young from Mater Dei. Nevertheless though, with Trevor Lawrence having 1 more year before the NFL, his connection with the coaching staff, and time to develop, DJ was seen as the future and the next great quarterback for Clemson football. But it's been quite a journey in his first 3 years there. Going into his Clemson career, DJ was obviously the backup quarterback, and he would get to learn under Trevor Lawrence. Clemson had high expectations in 2020, and after a hot start, it seemed like Trevor and the Tigers were cruising. That was until the Boston College game. Trevor was not allowed to play for 2 games because of a positive test, so DJ would have to go in. After a complete scare in the first half against Boston College, DJ would combine for 3 touchdowns and lead them to a 34-28 victory. The following weekend was going to be a big test though. He'd have to make his first career road start against the number 4 Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and DJ would impress. Despite losing in double overtime, he'd throw for 439 yards and combine for 3 touchdowns. That was one of the highest passing yard games in Clemson history, and DJ showed that he was going to be a force when he was the full-time starter. Trevor would come back, and DJ would once again become the backup, and wouldn't play until their game against Pittsburgh, as he'd score a touchdown in the ACC championship game. He'd get a chance to throw 1 pass against Notre Dame in the college football playoff, and he would finish his freshman season with 914 yards and 9 total touchdowns. Obviously, the hype was going to be unreal for him in 2022, as Trevor was now gone. Throughout the offseason, everyone was talking about Bryce Young and DJ Uiagalelei. They were 2 Cali 5-stars, now at big-time programs, and they both would have Heisman hype. Not only did he have that kind of hype, but DJ also signed a national ad campaign with Dr. Pepper, and he might have been the most talked about quarterback in the game. Everyone pretty much expected that he was going to be a star from the beginning, but this is not what would happen. He would have to earn it. Clemson would open up against Georgia in week 1, and in that game he would struggle. He go 19 of 37 for 178 yards without a touchdown and a pick six. He only completed 51% of his passes and got sacked for minus 22 yards. DJ and Clemson's flaws were on full display in that game, and things would not really get any better. He'd only have one touchdown and one pick against South Carolina State, almost lost to Georgia Tech, and only had 111 yards in a double overtime loss to NC State. Through 4 games, DJ was playing pretty badly, and it honestly never got better. He didn't have a touchdown against Boston College, barely beat Syracuse on the road, had 2 interceptions and a loss to Pitt, struggled immensely against Florida State, and had an interception against UConn, Wake Forest, and South Carolina. His only real decent game of the year came against Louisville, as he threw for 220 yards and had 3 combined touchdowns. They still only won by 7 points. Despite having a bad start to the season, Clemson would go on a winning streak and would get selected to play in the Cheez-It Bowl against Iowa State. In that game, DJ finished the season with 1 interception and 187 yards and a 7-point victory over the Clone. It was a really disappointing year. He threw for 2,246 yards with 9 touchdowns and 10 picks. His QBR was only 43.2, and he was by far the most disappointing quarterback in college football. Blaming was going all around. Some said he was overrated, some said he was hurt, some blamed the wide receivers, many blamed the offensive line, some blamed the coaching staff, and some blamed it on everything. Overall, it was a complete mess for DJ and Clemson, which is why it's so fascinating that they still won 10 games. Most programs would celebrate a 10-win season, but for Clemson, they needed to figure it out and figure it out soon. Dabo would immediately sign a big-time recruit coming out of high school by the name of Cade Klubnik. Coming out of Texas, he was bumped up to a 5-star recruit, and some believed that he would push DJ for the starting job. There were rumors all spring and summer about how Cade was pushing him for that job, but eventually Dabo came out and said that DJ was his guy. As the 2022 season started, the DJ narrative didn't really change that much. Against a really bad Georgia Tech team, he would struggle in the first half before he would eventually have 2 touchdowns in their win. Against Furman, he once again wasn't very impressive, and things didn't change much against Louisiana Tech. Through his first 3 games, DJ only had about 650 yards with 5 total touchdowns against pretty weak competition. Many were wondering if Cade Klubnik was finally going to start, but last week, we saw a flash of what DJ can be and what he probably will be for the remainder of his Clemson career. He was a star. In what was a huge game against number 21 Wake Forest, the Demon Deacons and the Tigers would go back and forth, and DJ would put on the show. He threw for 371 yards with 5 touchdowns without an interception. He made big throw after big throw, and eventually made the game-winning play to win in double overtime. This was a huge matchup when it comes to the ACC title race, and DJ completed 64% of his passes and looked insanely confident. After the game, Coach Dabo said, quote, "After 4 games, if you don't recognize this kid's special ability, then you're blind. You just want something else to write about. Hopefully, everybody can tear up all those articles you've written or take some ownership for them at this point. I know my YouTube channel doesn't mean a whole lot, but I definitely have to eat my words with DJ. I was sort of calling for him to be benched for Cade Klubnik. Right now, he has proved me wrong. And honestly, I'm happy about it because DJ is a really good guy. Last year, he only had 9 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, and this year he has 11 total touchdowns with only 1 interception. While he probably could have put up bigger numbers in those first 3 games, he still went on to have a pretty tremendous season. He had 3 combined touchdowns in a win over number 10 NC State, had 3 touchdowns in a win over Boston College, and 4 touchdowns in a monumental road victory over Florida State. He continued to get better and better and was playing himself back into the NFL radar, but it wasn't all perfect for him. He threw 2 costly interceptions in a narrow home victory over number 14 Syracuse, struggled mightily in a blowout loss to Notre Dame, and was also a game manager against Louisville. He would bounce back with 3 touchdowns and a win over Miami before another loss that would hurt his Clemson legacy. At home against their arch rival South Carolina, the Tigers blew it and lost 31-30. This was not good, and while DJ had 2 touchdowns, that wasn't going to cut it. He ended up barely playing against North Carolina in the ACC Championship game as Dabo decided it was time to go with Cade Klubnik. For the 2022 season, DJ would finish with 2,500 yards, with 22 passing touchdowns and 7 rushing touchdowns. Cade was obviously the future of the program, so DJ decided to enter the transfer portal. There were tons of big-time programs that were to go after him, but ultimately, he decided to go across the country and transfer to Oregon State. With Chance Nolan entering the portal, DJ will get a chance to step in right away. He obviously has all the physical talent and potential in the world, and will now get to go to a system that should fit his strengths. Oregon State is more of an old school team and isn't completely reliant on the quarterback, as they have a great offensive line, usually a couple of good running backs, and a good defense. DJ will be asked to run the ball a lot, will probably have a very simple passing offense, and won't have as much pressure at Oregon State as he will at a school like Clemson. While he's still hoping to be a 2024 NFL draft pick, DJ's got a long way to go. 1, he needs to put together a big-time season. 2, he needs to show off that he has NFL potential. And 3, he has to win the starting job. At this point, it's not 100% guaranteed that DJ will start, as Ben Gulbranson will be back, and they have a phenom 17-year-old quarterback by the name of Aiden Childs. Apparently Childs was the best quarterback in the spring game, and DJ has looked a little bit slow at times. I still think he is definitely the guy going into week 1, and should be the starter all of 2023, but we'll just have to wait and see. I think he's an impact transfer, and if he can live up to his 5-star hype, he could be a star for the Beavers and make it to the NFL. But what do you guys think? If you're an Oregon State or Clemson fan, what do you think of DJ Uiagalelei? What transfer should I cover next? And be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and check out all my other videos on the end screen, including my video about Aiden Childs. Hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.